Hey everybody, Justin the Diabetic here, and today I wanted to try something a little different. Today I wanted to give some information to people who may be new to diabetes and considering an insulin pump. They may be considering a CGM, or you may have an insulin pump now, you might not be happy with it. I know several people aren't happy with the way that the Medtronic 670G functions or the 770G, and they're considering other options. So I just wanted to kind of go over some other options, kind of rank these devices, how I would kind of rank them if I were to consider them. So in this video, we're going to touch on Medtronic's insulin pump lineup, Medtronic's Smart Pen, the Smart Pen, as well as the standalone Guardian CGM that Medtronic offers. The standalone CGM does not require an insulin pump. You can just use the sensor to monitor your blood glucose levels. I'm going to talk about Tandem's t:slim X2, the two different technologies that Tandem offers, the Basal IQ and Control IQ. We're going to discuss the Omnipod Dash system, and then we're going to discuss the Dexcom G6 and the Freestyle Libre glucose monitors. The Dexcom G6 I kind of classify as a CGM. The Freestyle Libre is classified as a CGM, but there are some differences between the Dexcom and the Libre. So let's get started on this week's video. All right, I'm going to start with Medtronic. I choose to start with Medtronic one because I use Medtronic's products. I am a Medtronic brand ambassador, so I know a little bit more information about their products by being an ambassador. With that being said, at the current time, I feel that Medtronic works best for me. It meets my needs. That does not mean that it's the best system out there. One of the other systems could be a better option for you based on the way that your lifestyle is. So I hope that this video kind of makes you aware of the products that are out there. Some of them do work together. So that way you can do your research, make it a little easier on you to choose the product that fits best for you. So to start with, Medtronic offers several different products to make diabetic management easier. I chose to start with the first product, the injection port, iPort Advanced Injection Port. It's an infusion set that users can apply to their body if they're using an insulin pen. And when it comes time for injections, the pen would just screw on to the infusion set and allow them to inject themselves with insulin. This site is same as a normal infusion set through Medtronic. It's good to be worn on the body for up to 3 days, and it prevents the user from having to stick themselves multiple times daily with a needle on their insulin pen. With that being said, the next product that Medtronic offers is the smart insulin pen called the InPen. The InPen uses an app to help the user calculate doses and keep track of all of their data. The InPen is also able to deliver up to half of a unit if the user needs a dose that small. The Insulin Pen has several features within the app to make diabetes life easier. It has blood glucose reminders, missing dose reminders, insulin expirations, and temperature alerts, and you are able to share your data with your healthcare professionals through the app. I don't have much hands-on experience with the InPen app, but it looks to me to be very beneficial for somebody who was on an insulin pen if you wanted a smart insulin pen. So now that we have the insulin pump, now if you don't have an insulin pump and you're interested in the InPen or you want to continue your manual injections, but you want to use Medtronic's Guardian CGM. Guardian is the latest technology that Medtronic has in their CGM. The Guardian Connect system is what it's called. It's a standalone system. It has a transmitter similar to the pumps. You just charge the transmitter. It is a Bluetooth enabled, and it will pair with the user's smartphone, and then they'll be able to see their blood glucose information on their smartphone. You will get push notifications for alerts for high and low glucose levels, and the transmitter is able to be worn for up to 7 days. The app that is used for the CGM is called the Guardian Connect. The Guardian Connect system also has a second app called Sugar IQ, which can help the user kind of manage their diabetes, gives them some information. It's designed to be like a diabetes assistant to better to help the user better understand their diabetes trends and make managing their diabetes easier. Sorry, it's a lot of talking in this video. Hope you guys bear with me. Now on to the insulin pumps. Currently, in the USA or the United States, Medtronic is offering the MiniMed 670G and the 770G insulin pumps. The 670G insulin pump was the first Medtronic pump with Medtronic SmartGuard Auto Mode. The pump user has the option to use the pump in manual mode, which operates as a traditional insulin pump, or as in auto mode. Auto mode kind of works. It's adaptive. It's an adaptive algorithm to kind of meet the needs of the user based on their blood glucose trends. If your blood sugar starts to rise, auto mode will, to a limit, increase your bolus amount to try to bring your sugar back down to a target glucose level of 120. If your sugar is trending downwards towards a low, it will reduce the amount of insulin given to kind of keep you from going low. Sometimes things happen and you do go low. Based on my personal experience, the system is not able to do a correction bolus for a high blood glucose. So you have to kind of stay on it. The pump will look at the insulin that's on board to and suggest, just like a normal pump would for a correction, what insulin it thinks you need. You just got to stay on it and make sure that your carb counting is accurate. I will say, based on my experience with the 670G, auto mode requires a lot of work and you have to be very patient with the pump. So now moving on, the 770G insulin pump is a stepping stone for the USA market, or the North American market, for the future 780G that is currently being reviewed by the FDA. So what does that mean? The 770G brings forth some of the technology that users want from the 780G. So, for example, the 770G is able to connect remotely to a smartphone. The user can look at an app similar to the Garden Connect and see their graph, their trends with their blood sugar. The app also will upload small amounts of data to the cloud, so that way that can be viewed from a caregiver's phone. If, for example, a young child had the 770G, both parents could monitor the child's blood glucose levels remotely through a different app. The app that the child would use for their personal device is the MiniMed Connect app, and the app the parents would use is the CareLink Caregivers app. The pump also, once in a 24-hour period, does a hard upload to the CareLink server, so all of your insulin pump data for the day will be uploaded. That is good, and it makes it easier for users, especially going to the doctor's office. Most of your data should be uploaded. Within the app, you have the option to manually upload data. So that I typically, from my personal experience, do that on my way to the doctor's office, and by the time I get there, the pump has uploaded the most current data for the doctor to review. So, the 780G, let me back up. The 770G, I said, is a stepping stone. So what does that mean? It's like if you got the latest smartphone, but it's running the oldest or the last year's generation operating system. So the 770G has the hardware that's going to come with the 780G, but it's running on the software from the 670G. So whereas Medtronic personally states that there's not any changes to the algorithm for the 770G, in my personal experience, the pump has the processing power to be able to make adaptable changes to the user's insulin needs, in my opinion, faster than the 670G would. With that being said, once the FDA approves the 780G in the United States, Medtronic can send out an email with directions on how to upload the 780G software to the 770G via the smartphone that's connected to the pump. So, kind of excited for that 780G support to come once it passes FDA approval for the United States. The 780G insulin pump does also have a new transmitter. The transmitter and sensor for the 780G will not require fingerstick calibrations. That's what I've found so far in my readings, so it'll be interesting to see how that works. The next major update for the 780G insulin pump is for auto mode. The user has the ability to select what the target range needs to be for auto mode. They have the option to select 120, which is the current target, 110, or 100. Based on the user's needs. The 780G will also be able to do a automatic correction bolus for a high. Then again, based on what I've seen from some people that have access to the 780G so far, this is a very useful feature. It is very cautious, just like the 670G and the 770G are. It does not want to do a large bolus to cause a low, so it'll probably do multiple smaller correction boluses to get the user within range. Okay, so that's all of the Medtronic products so far. Now we're going to switch gears from Medtronic and discuss the Dexcom G6 and the Freestyle Libre. Both of these are ways for a diabetic to monitor their blood glucose levels without multiple finger sticks per day. So we're going to start with the Freestyle Libre. The system consists of a sensor that can be worn for up to 14 days. The sensor does not require finger sticks for calibration purposes. The sensor is about the size of a large coin. I have a friend whose mom is currently using the Libre. She does injections daily with her insulin. To give you kind of an idea how big it is, it's about the size of between a quarter and a 50-cent piece here in the United States. It's not really that big, and it's relatively thin. I would say it's about the same thickness as a quarter or 50-cent piece. It's very slim. The Freestyle Libre consists of the sensor that can be worn, like I said, for 14 days, and it consists of the receiver or the reader, which is a little device that you would simply tap on the sensor to get an updated blood glucose. The Libre does support certain smartphone devices, and if you wanted to use that, you would just take your phone and tap it to get that updated reading. So the system does allow for alerts for high and low blood glucose levels as long as the smartphone or the receiver are within range of the sensor, so that way the alert can be received, and it will also give you an alert if the sensor loses connection with either device. So I said that there were some differences between the Libre and the Dexcom G6. The main difference in my book is the Libre needs to have that tap interaction to get the blood glucose value, whereas the Dexcom G6 automatically updates and sends the most current glucose information to the receiver or the user's smartphone. So with that being said, the Dexcom G6 is constantly sending updates to the Dexcom receiver or the user's smartphone every 5 minutes. The Dexcom system can be worn for up to 10 days and does not require finger sticks for calibration. So that's kind of the information. Dexcom does have an app. Based on what I've seen from users who do have it, it is a very intuitive app, and users do like it. You can see information about the status of your sensor and your blood glucose levels, as well as kind of where you're trending. So now switching gears from the CGMs, we are going to talk about the Omnipod insulin pump and then the Tandem T-Slim insulin pump. So we're going to start with Omnipod first. The Omnipod is a unique insulin pump because it has a pod. When the user wants to change out their pod, similar to what a sensor or an infusion set change would be, they take out the desired amount of insulin in a syringe that comes with the pod, fill the pod with that insulin, and then apply the pod to the body. The pod is similar in size as to like some condiment sauce packets you can get at a fast food restaurant. It is a little thick, but as far as the surface area in the body it takes up, it's relatively small. Based on my experience with it. The Omnipod was my first insulin pump, and I did use the system for 3 years. I did use the second and the third generation of the Omnipod. If you've been using the Omnipod, the second generation that I had a blue PDM, or personal diabetes manager as they call it, and had the larger pods. Then the third generation came out, a black PDM and the smaller pods. Now they're in the fourth generation, which is the Omnipod Dash system, which has a new PDM that I believe is a touchscreen. It kind of looks like a smartphone, and then they also are still using the smaller pods. So once you attach the pod, it will automatically save your basal rates. So if you leave your PDM in the car and you're going to go shopping or anything, it's still going to give you that same amount of insulin. It's kind of just a basic insulin pump in that function. With the Omnipod, you can use the Dexcom or Freestyle Libre or another CGM, the Medtronic one, if you wanted. The systems, however, will not work together to be what is called a hybrid closed-loop insulin pump system, where the CGM and the pump kind of talk together, similar to Medtronic's auto mode. Omnipod doesn't currently have anything for that. There are some third-party companies that are working to try to create that experience for the Omnipod customer, but as far as I know to date, there's nothing about it on Omnipod's website. All right, finally, the Tandem t:slim X2. The Tandem insulin pump will work with the Dexcom CGM. The t:slim insulin pump has two different operating systems. So first, basal IQ, which works similar to the Omnipod or Medtronic pumps in manual mode. You set your basal rates and you just kind of let the pump, and it'll do that, and you can do normal boluses and corrections as needed. You can connect it to the Dexcom, so that way you will see your blood glucose data on the Tandem t:slim. But if you're going to do the Dexcom, it is preferred by most users to go for the Control IQ operating system. That is an advanced hybrid closed loop that is able to adjust the user's insulin delivery based on their current blood glucose levels and what the pump predicts them to be in the next 30 minutes. That's similar to Medtronic's auto mode. It's just a little different the way that the systems operate. The Control IQ system can deliver automatic correction boluses to up to an hour to try to prevent a high blood sugar. The t:slim has optional settings for the users to use during times when they would be asleep or when they're exercising, and that changes the way that the pump operates to kind of keep your blood sugars within range during those times. Obviously, when you're asleep, the pump doesn't want to give quite as much insulin to prevent a low while you're sleeping, and the same thing goes for kind of when you're exercising. The pump doesn't want to give you too much insulin on board when you're exercising, and then also prevent your blood sugar to drop due to the extra activity that you are doing. Tandem does offer an app. It's called the T-Connect app. It allows the users to look at their pump information, their graph of their sugar data when using the Dexcom CGM. Tandem also has an app for a potential customer. You can download the app and it gives you a virtual demonstration of how the pump functions. Since the Tandem t:slim pump is a touchscreen pump, you can kind of touch around in the menus and stuff similar to the way you would on the pump, but on your smartphone to see if you kind of like the idea of a touchscreen pump. The Tandem insulin pump also does not have changeable batteries like the Medtronic pump or the Omnipod's PDM. You can't just change the batteries when they get low. You do have to recharge the Tandem. Tandem has an app called SugarMate, which will help coach and assist the users with their blood glucose control, similar to Medtronic's Sugar IQ app for their Guardian Connect CGM. And then Tandem t:slim also supports over-the-air software updates via a update software that you can download on your Windows or Mac PC. So, with all that being said, most of you know that I've been with Medtronic for about 8 years now. I've been very happy. I've had the 530G with the inline sensors, the 670G with the Guardian sensor, and now I'm on the 770G. I do expect to use my free upgrade from the 770G to use the 780G system and the hopefully new transmitter. Hopefully those are both approved by the FDA rather soon. If for some reason I decided to leave Medtronic, I would not go back to manual injections. It's just a little harder to keep up with. If your body does not require much insulin and you are on manual injections, more power to you if you want to stay with them. That's fine. But I'm happy and content with my diabetes management with an insulin pump. So with that being said, I've had the Omnipod system before. I did enjoy the Omnipod. The only issues that I did have was sometimes the pods would fall off, or some people refer to it as a blowout. When your insulin site starts to leak insulin around the cannula. I experience this kind of often with the Omnipod because the cannula inserts at like a 45-degree angle. So my Medtronic infusion sets, most of them insert at a 90-degree angle, and that doesn't prevent the issue, but it makes it a lot easier. Or less common, excuse me, is what I should say. So I don't know if I would go back to the Omnipod. I do like the technology of a hybrid closed loop with the 670 and 770G. So I think that I would, if I had to change insulin pump brands, I would go with the Dexcom CGM and the Tandem t:slim X2 with Control IQ. I don't necessarily like the design of the Tandem pump or the way that some of their stuff is, like with their infusion sets. Stop. So that's kind of just my stance on it. I hope this video kind of helps some of you if you're considering an insulin pump or looking into different options that are available. So I'll see you guys next week, and have a good week.